Maya Rodriguez wiped the grease from her hands with an old rag and stepped back to admire her work. The truck engine hummed perfectly now after 3 hours of repairs. She loved working in her family's auto shop in the small Colorado town of Pine Ridge. The smell of motor oil and the satisfaction of fixing broken things made her happy. "Maya, you finished already?" her father called from across the garage. "That transmission was supposed to take all day." "It wasn't as bad as it looked," Maya replied, closing the truck's hood. "Just needed some patience and the right tools at AD." 17. Maya had already earned a reputation as the best mechanic in 3 counties. Her small hands could reach places others couldn't, and her mind worked like a puzzle solver. She could hear problems in an engine that others missed completely. "Hey Maya, you ready for our camping trip tomorrow?" Jake Miller jogged into the garage, his backpack already loaded with gear. Jake had been her best friend since childhood, and they went camping every summer in the Rocky Mountains. "Ready as always," Maya smiled. "Dad will be back Sunday night." Her father nodded but looked worried. "You kids be careful up there. I heard mountain lions have been spotted near Bear Creek Trail." "We'll stay alert," Maya promised. She had grown up in these mountains and knew how to handle wildlife. Her grandfather, a retired Army Ranger, had taught her survival skills from a young age. The next morning, Maya and Jake drove deep into the wilderness. They hiked for hours until they found their favorite camping spot beside a crystal-clear lake. The mountains rose around them like ancient guardians, and eagles soared overhead. "This never gets old," Jake said, setting up his tent. "Sometimes. I think we're the luckiest people alive to grow up here." Maya nodded, breathing in the pine-scented air. She felt most at home in the wilderness, away from the noise and complications of modern life. Here, everything made sense. Survive, adapt, overcome. That evening, they sat around their campfire roasting marshmallows and telling stories. The stars, above, shone brighter than any city dweller could imagine. Maya felt peaceful and content. "So what are your plans after graduation?" Jake asked. "Still thinking about the military?" "Maybe," Maya replied. "I want to do something that matters, something bigger than myself." She had always felt different from other kids her age. While they worried about social media and fashion trends, Maya dreamed of adventure and purpose. The military seemed like a place where she could use her skills to help people. A branch snapped in the darkness beyond their campfire. Both teenagers looked up, alert. "Probably just a deer," Jake whispered. Maya's instincts told her otherwise. Her grandfather had taught her to trust those feelings. She grabbed a flashlight and stood slowly. "Stay by the fire," she told Jake quietly. 2 yellow eyes reflected her flashlight beam from 30 feet away. A mountain lion crouched low, watching, them with predatory focus. The big cat was easily 8 feet long and probably weighed twice as much as Maya. "Don't run," Maya whispered to Jake. "Back toward the lake slowly." The mountain lion stepped into the firelight, its muscles rippling, under golden fur. Maya had seen plenty of wildlife, but never a predator this close and focused on her as prey. Time seemed to slow down. Maya's heart rate dropped instead of speeding up. Her breathing became steady and controlled, every muscle in her body prepared for action, but her mind stayed calm and calculating. The mountain lion lunged. Maya dove sideways, rolling across the ground as massive claws swept through the space where she had been standing. She came up holding a burning branch from the fire, waving it at the cat's face. "Get back," she shouted, her voice carrying absolute authority. The mountain lion circled, looking for another opening to attack. Maya kept the flame between them, moving with fluid grace that matched the predator's own movements. She seemed to anticipate where the cat would step before it moved. For several tense minutes, girl and mountain lion faced each other in a deadly dance. Maya never panicked or made sudden moves. She simply waited, patient and ready, until the big cat finally decided these humans weren't easy prey and melted back into the darkness. "How did you do that?" Jake asked, his voice shaking. "I thought we were dead." "I don't know," Maya replied honestly. "It just felt natural." Above them, hidden in the night sky, alien eyes had watched the entire encounter. Aboard an invisible spacecraft, 3 beings in environmental suits observed the recordings of Maya's confrontation with the mountain lion. "Remarkable," said the ship's commander in a language that sounded like music mixed with static. "Look how she moved. Perfect predator response, but with tactical thinking no animal possesses." "Her heart rate actually decreased during the encounter," reported the science officer. "And watch this replay. She anticipated the cat's movements by analyzing muscle tension and eye position. Incredible processing speed. No wonder the galactic database classifies their world as a death world," added the weapons officer. "If their young can face apex predators with such calm, imagine what their warriors must be like." The commander studied Maya's image on the screen. She looked so small and fragile compared to the mountain lion, yet she had dominated the encounter through pure mental superiority. "Signal the fleet," the commander decided. "We have found our candidate." Maya and Jake spent a restless night, taking turns on watch duty. When morning came, they packed quickly and headed back toward their truck. Maya felt uneasy, as if unseen eyes were watching from the forest. They were only a mile from their vehicle when strange lights appeared overhead. The forest fell silent. Even insects stopped buzzing. "Maya, what is that?" Jake pointed at the sky. 3 disc-shaped objects descended through the trees, moving without any sound. They landed in a clearing ahead, blocking the path to their truck. "Run," Maya told Jake. But it was too late. Beams of blue light surrounded them, and Maya felt her muscles freeze. She could think and breathe, but couldn't move her arms or legs. Jake stood paralyzed beside her, his eyes wide with terror. Tall figures in smooth silver suits approached them. They moved with mechanical precision, and their faces were hidden behind dark visors. "Do not fear," one of them spoke in perfect English. "You will not be harmed if you cooperate." Maya tried to speak but found her voice wouldn't work. The paralysis beam held her completely helpless. "You are Maya Rodriguez of Earth," the alien continued. "You have been selected for a great honor. Your species shows remarkable potential." They carried Maya and Jake aboard one of their ships. The interior was filled with soft light and curved walls that seemed to pulse with energy. Maya was placed in a chair that molded itself to her body. "Your friend will be returned safely to your world with no memory of this encounter," the alien explained. "But you, Maya Rodriguez, are coming with us. The galaxy awaits." As the ship rose into space, Maya caught her last glimpse of Earth through a viewing port. The blue marble of her home world grew smaller and smaller until it disappeared among the stars. "Where are you taking me?" Maya finally managed to ask as the paralysis wore off. The alien removed his helmet, revealing a face that was almost human, but with larger eyes and pale blue skin. "I am Admiral Voss Caney of the Talaxian Empire," he said. "And you, young Deathworlder, are going to participate in the most dangerous competition the galaxy has ever known." Maya woke up in a room that looked like something from a science fiction movie. The walls glowed with soft white light, and the bed beneath her felt like it was made of liquid that had somehow become solid. She sat up quickly, her heart racing, as memories of the abduction came flooding back. "Easy there," said a familiar voice. "You're safe for now." Maya turned to see a woman in her 40s with dark hair and kind eyes. She wore clothes that looked almost normal, except they seemed to be made from some kind of shimmering fabric. "My name is Dr. Elena Vasquez," the woman continued. "I'm from Earth, too. Been here about 8 years now." 8 years? Maya stared at her. "How is that possible? And where exactly is here?" Elena walked to what looked like a blank wall. She touched it with her hand, and suddenly it became transparent, revealing the most incredible sight Maya had ever seen. They were inside a massive space station. Through the window, Maya could see ships coming and going from docking bays. Alien beings in environmental suits floated through the vacuum between structures. In the distance, a purple sun cast strange shadows across the station's metallic surface. "Welcome to Dominion Station," Elena said. "Home of the Apex Games." "What are the Apex Games?" Maya asked, though part of her already feared the answer. "Oh, tournament held every 10 years. Elena explained, sitting down in a chair that seemed to grow from the floor. The galaxy's most dangerous species send their best fighters to compete. The winner gets citizenship in the Talaxian Empire and a seat on the ruling council. Maya felt cold despite the comfortable temperature in the room. And the losers? They don't go home. Elena began explaining everything she knew about the games and the Empire. The Talaxians had conquered most of the galaxy through superior technology and careful politics. They kept other species under control by offering the games as a path to power. But they made sure the competition was deadly enough that few survived to claim the prize. Why me? Maya asked. I'm nobody special, just a kid from Colorado who fixes cars. That's where you're wrong, Elena replied. Admiral Caney's people have been studying Earth for months. They've classified it as a death world. A what? A planet so dangerous that only apex predators can evolve there. According to their science, any species that survives on a death world automatically becomes one of the galaxy's most lethal life forms. Maya thought about her encounter with the mountain lion. At the time, it had felt natural to stay calm and think tactically, while facing a creature that could have killed her easily. Maybe there was something different about humans after all. Elena led Maya through corridors filled with beings from dozens of different worlds. Some looked almost human, while others were so alien that Maya couldn't tell which end was their head. All of them stared at her with expressions that ranged from curiosity to outright hostility. They know what you are, Elena whispered. Word spreads fast here. Everyone wants to see the Deathworlder. They entered a massive chamber that looked like a cross between a gymnasium and a military training facility. Equipment filled the space, some recognizable, and others completely alien. In one corner, a creature that looked like a walking tree was lifting weights that would have challenged a crane. In another area, something resembling a giant insect was moving so fast it was just a blur. Maya Rodriguez, a deep voice called out. Come forward. Maya turned to see a man approaching who was clearly human, though his muscles looked like they had been carved from stone. Scars covered his arms and face, and his eyes held the 1,000-yard stare of someone who had seen too much combat. I'm Marcus Thompson, the man said, extending a hand that felt like gripping a steel cable. Former Marine Corps, captured on Kepler 442b 3 years ago. I'll be your trainer. Trainer for what exactly? For staying alive long enough to have a chance at winning this thing. Marcus led Maya to a quiet corner of the training facility and began explaining the rules. The games consisted of several phases, each designed to eliminate competitors, until only one remained. The challenges tested everything from raw strength to tactical thinking to pure survival instincts. The other species have advantages, Marcus explained. Some are stronger, some are faster, some are nearly indestructible, but humans have something most of them lack, which is adaptability. We're the ultimate generalists. Give us time to figure out the rules and we can find a way to win. Over the next several hours, Marcus introduced Maya to the other competitors. Each one was more intimidating than the last. Brutus Cain represented the Coran hegemony, a warrior culture that had been fighting wars for thousands of years. He stood 8 feet tall and was covered in natural armor that looked like black metal. His species had evolved from predators that hunted in packs on a world where everything tried to kill everything else. Swift Wind came from Verdania, a forest world where speed meant survival. She looked almost human except for the green tint, to her skin and eyes that could track multiple targets simultaneously. She moved like liquid mercury, never staying in one position for more than a few seconds. Stone Crusher was exactly what his name suggested. His people had evolved on a high-gravity world where the very air was toxic to most species. He looked like a walking boulder and was probably strong enough to punch through the station's hull with his bare hands. Venom Strike represented the swamp world of Toxios. His skin constantly secreted poisons that would kill most life forms with a single touch. He wore a special suit that contained his toxic emissions, but Maya could see his confidence in his natural weapons. There were 6 others, each representing a different type of apex predator evolution. Maya felt like a house cat that had wandered into a den of tigers. Don't let them intimidate you, Marcus said quietly as they watched the aliens train. Remember what I told you about adaptability. They're all specialists. You're a generalist. That's your strength. I don't feel very strong right now, Maya admitted. Good, Elena said, appearing beside them. Overconfidence kills more competitors than anything else. But I've been studying the historical data on these games. The winners aren't always the strongest or the fastest. She showed Maya a tablet displaying statistics from previous tournaments. The pattern was clear once you knew what to look for. The winners were usually the competitors who could think strategically while under pressure. The games test more than just physical ability, Elena continued. They test intelligence, creativity, and the will to survive. Humans excel at all three. Maya spent the rest of the day learning about the station and its inhabitants. Elena showed her the medical facilities where she worked, studying alien biology for the Empire's scientists. They also visited the observation decks where wealthy aliens gathered to bet on the upcoming games. Millions of beings across the galaxy will be watching, Elena explained. The games are broadcast on every civilized world. For most species, it's the only entertainment they're allowed. As they returned to Maya's quarters, she noticed Admiral Caney waiting for them. The tall alien stood with perfect military posture, his pale blue skin almost glowing in the corridor's light. Maya Rodriguez, he said formally. I trust your introduction to the arena has been educational. Why did you really choose me? Maya asked, meeting his large eyes without flinching. Caney smiled, showing teeth that were slightly too sharp to be comforting. Direct. I like that. The truth is, my government is curious about your species. We have theories about Deathworld evolution, but we've never had a chance to test them. So I'm a lab rat. You are an opportunity, Caney corrected. For yourself, for your species, and for the Empire. Prove that humans deserve respect and your world's status in the galaxy will change forever. He turned to leave, then paused. The games begin in 3 days. I suggest you use that time wisely. After the Admiral left, Maya stood at her window looking out at the alien stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, where Jake was probably wondering what had happened to her. Her parents would be worried sick when she didn't come home from the camping trip. I have to win this, she said quietly. Not just win, Elena corrected. You have to survive it. There's a difference. Maya nodded, understanding the distinction. Winning meant beating the other competitors. Surviving meant coming through the experience with her humanity intact. She had 3 days to prepare for the deadliest competition in galactic history. 3 days to figure out how a 17-year-old mechanic from Colorado could face down the galaxy's apex predators and live to tell about it. The challenge seemed impossible, but Maya had learned long ago that impossible just meant nobody had figured out the right approach yet. She was ready to start figuring. The arena floor felt cold beneath Maya's feet as she stood with 9 other competitors. Above them, thousands of alien spectators filled the curved walls of the massive stadium. Their voices created a sound like ocean waves mixed with thunder. Admiral Caney's voice echoed through the arena from hidden speakers. Welcome, beings of the Empire, to the 47th Apex Games. Today we begin the trials that will determine the galaxy's newest council member. Maya looked at her fellow competitors. Each one represented millions of years of evolution designed to create the perfect killer. Brutus Cain flexed his armored muscles and grinned at her with too many teeth. Swift Wind moved in small circles, never staying still for more than a second. Stone Crusher stood like a mountain, waiting patiently for violence to begin. The first trial is endurance, Caney announced. You will navigate the endless maze. The last 5 to reach the center will be eliminated. The floor beneath them began to move, separating into different platforms. Maya found herself standing alone as walls rose around her, creating a maze that stretched as far as she could see. The walls were smooth metal that reached 30 feet high, making it impossible to climb over them. Begin, Caney's voice commanded. Maya started running immediately. She had learned from Marcus that hesitation killed more competitors than anything else. The maze twisted and turned in patterns that seemed designed to confuse and frustrate. Dead ends appeared everywhere, forcing her to backtrack repeatedly. After an hour of running, Maya heard roars of frustration echoing through the maze. The other competitors were getting angry as they hit dead ends and false paths. But Maya stayed calm, treating the maze like a mechanical problem that needed solving. She began marking her path by leaving small tears in her clothes at each turn. Within another hour, she had mapped enough of the maze to see the pattern. The builders had designed it with a mathematical sequence that repeated every 12 turns. While the stronger competitors tried to smash through walls or jump impossible distances, Maya used her mind. She calculated angles and distances, predicted where paths would lead, and avoided the traps that caught others. Swift Wind appeared beside her suddenly, breathing hard. "How are you navigating this nightmare?" "Pattern recognition," Maya replied, not breaking her steady pace. "The maze has rules. Follow the rules and it becomes simple." Swift Wind kept pace with her for several minutes. "Your species is strange. You think when others would panic." They reached the center of the maze together, along with Brutus Kane, who had simply smashed through several walls despite the rules. Stone Crusher arrived next, having endured every trap and obstacle through sheer durability. The fifth to arrive was Venom Strike, who had melted through walls with his toxic secretions. The other 5 competitors were eliminated immediately. Maya watched through force fields as they were transported away from the arena. She wondered if they were being killed or simply sent home in shame. "Impressive problem solving," Admiral Kane's voice announced. "The human competitor shows the tactical thinking we expected from a Deathworld species." The next trial took place in a vast chamber filled with predatory creatures from across the galaxy. Maya found herself facing a beast that looked like a cross between a bear and a dinosaur, with claws that could cut through steel. Instead of fighting the creature directly, Maya studied its behavior. She noticed that it favored its right side and had a slight limp in its back leg. When it charged, she rolled beneath its attack and struck the weak leg with a metal rod she had picked up from the arena floor. The beast stumbled, and Maya used its momentary confusion to leap onto its back. She wrapped the metal rod around its throat and held on while it bucked and thrashed. The creature eventually collapsed from lack of oxygen, and Maya released it before it could die. "Mercy," Swift Wind observed as they regrouped after the trial. "Another strange human trait." "Unnecessary. Killing is wasteful," Maya replied. "That creature was just doing what it was designed to do." Brutus Kane laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "Weakness will get you killed, little human." "Maybe," Maya said, "but so will thinking that strength alone solves every problem." The third trial tested their resistance to various toxins and environmental hazards. Maya surprised everyone, including herself, by surviving poisons that should have killed her within minutes. Her body seemed to adapt to each new threat faster than the alien scientist had predicted. Dr. Elena watched from the medical monitoring station as Maya's biological readings defied explanation. Her immune system was working overtime, creating antibodies at an impossible rate. It was as if her body was learning from each exposure and preparing for the next one. "Remarkable," Elena whispered to her alien colleagues. "Her physiology is rewriting itself in real time." But Elena had also discovered something troubling. While monitoring communications between arena officials, she had detected coded messages that didn't belong in normal operations management. Someone was feeding information about Maya's performance to outside parties. Elena traced the signals and discovered they led to the highest levels of imperial government. High Chancellor Rebecca Stone, the only other human in a position of power, within the Empire, was receiving detailed reports about Maya's abilities and weaknesses. Elena realized that Stone saw Maya as a threat to her own position. For decades, Stone had been the Empire's only example of human capability. She had risen to power by convincing the Talaxians that she was a unique exception rather than a representative of her species' potential. If Maya succeeded in the games and proved that humans were naturally capable of greatness, it would undermine Stone's carefully constructed position as the Empire's pet human. Elena tried to contact Maya through the arena's communication system, but her access was blocked. Stone had already moved to isolate Maya from any outside help. Elena realized she would have to find another way to warn Maya about the conspiracy against her. Meanwhile, Maya was beginning to understand that the games were about more than individual combat. The trials were testing not just physical ability but leadership, tactical thinking, and the capacity to inspire others. During breaks between trials, she found herself talking with Swift Wind and even some of the eliminated competitors, who remained to watch. They were fascinated by her approach to problems and her refusal to see the games as purely about domination. "Your species thinks differently," Swift Wind observed. "Most apex predators compete by destroying rivals. Humans seem to compete by building alliances." Maya nodded. "Maybe that's why we survived on Earth. We learned to work together against bigger threats." As the preliminary trials ended, Maya had advanced to the final 5 competitors along with Brutus Cain, Swift Wind, Stonecrusher, and Venom Strike. Each had survived by using their species' greatest strengths, but Maya was the only one who had shown the ability to adapt and learn from each challenge. Admiral Caney appeared on the arena floor to address the survivors. "Congratulations to our final competitors. You have proven yourselves worthy of the next phase." He gestured to the walls around them, which began to shift and change. "The hunt begins tomorrow. You will be released into our most dangerous testing environment, where you will face not only each other but the deadliest creatures and traps the Empire can devise." Caney's large eyes focused on Maya specifically. "Survival requires more than strength or speed. It requires the intelligence to recognize threats and the wisdom to choose your battles carefully." As Maya returned to her quarters, she felt the weight of what was coming. The preliminary trials had been tests of specific abilities. The hunt would be about using everything she had learned to stay alive while others tried to kill her. Elena was waiting in her room, having somehow bypassed the security locks. "We need to talk," Elena said urgently. "There's something you need to know about High Chancellor Stone." Maya listened as Elena explained the conspiracy against her. Stone had been feeding information to Maya's competitors and had arranged for additional obstacles to be placed in her path during the hunt. "She sees you as a threat to everything she's built," Elena explained. "If you prove that humans can succeed through merit rather than special favor, her entire power structure collapses." Maya felt anger building inside her, but she forced it down. Emotion would be a luxury she couldn't afford in the trials ahead. "Then I'll have to succeed despite her," Maya said simply. Elena smiled, despite her worry. "That's exactly the kind of thinking that's going to get you through this." As Maya prepared for sleep, she thought about home and the people who were counting on her. Jake was probably worried sick. Her parents would be devastated by her disappearance. But now she understood that her success or failure would determine not just her own fate, but the future of humanity in the galaxy. She had to win, not just for herself, but for every human who might one day look up at the stars and dream of something greater. The hunt would begin at dawn. Maya closed her eyes and began mentally preparing for the deadliest game the galaxy had ever created. Maya woke before dawn to the sound of mechanical systems activating throughout the station. Today was the hunt, and she could feel the difference in the air itself. The station's artificial gravity seemed heavier, and the lights had taken on a reddish tint that reminded her of blood. Marcus appeared at her door with a small pack of supplies. "Everything I could legally give you," he said, handing it over. "Water purification tablets, basic medical kit, and a few energy bars." "Thank you," Maya said, checking the contents, "for everything you've taught me." "Remember what I said about persistence hunting," Marcus replied. "Your ancestors chased down prey by never giving up, never stopping. That's your advantage here. The others are sprinters. You're a marathon runner." Elena arrived just as Maya was finishing her preparations. She looked tired and worried, her usually neat hair messy from lack of sleep. "I found out more about Stone's interference," Elena whispered. "She's arranged for the arena's automated systems to target you specifically. Extra predators will be released near your position and some of the environmental hazards have been reprogrammed." Maya nodded calmly. "Then I'll have to be better than she expects." The 5 remaining competitors were transported to different entry points of what Admiral Caney called the proving ground. Through the transport window, Maya could see a vast artificial ecosystem that stretched for miles in every direction. Forests, deserts, swamps, and rocky mountains were all contained within the massive space. 7 days, Kaney's voice echoed through the transport. Survive for 7 days while the arena tries to kill you. The last competitor standing wins citizenship in the Empire and a seat on the ruling council. Maya's transport landed in a dense forest that reminded her of home. The trees were different, with purple leaves and bark that seemed to pulse with its own light, but the feeling was familiar. She immediately began moving away from the landing site, knowing that the other competitors would track her there. Within hours, Maya realized that Elena had been right about the extra dangers. Creatures that shouldn't have been in the forest. Biome kept appearing near her position. Acid-spitting lizards emerged from holes in the ground. Flying predators with razor-sharp wings dove at her from the canopy, and carnivorous plants tried to grab her with vine-like tentacles. Instead of fighting each threat directly, Maya used the environment itself as a weapon. She led the acid spitters into the carnivorous plants, letting them destroy each other. She used fallen branches to trigger the flying predators' attacks, then moved past while they were confused. By the end of the first day, Maya had traveled deeper into the arena than any of the other competitors. She found a cave hidden behind a waterfall and made her first camp there. The sound of falling water would mask any noise she made, and the narrow entrance was easy to defend. On the second day, Maya discovered that Swift Wind was tracking her. The alien huntress had found Maya's trail and was following at a distance, probably waiting for the right moment to attack. But when Maya deliberately walked into an obvious trap, Swift Wind surprised her by calling out a warning instead of letting her die. "Pressure mines ahead," Swift Wind said, appearing from behind a tree. "Step on one and it will tear you apart." "Why warn me?" Maya asked, grateful but confused. "Because I want to defeat you in fair combat, not watch you die to Stone's tricks," Swift Wind replied. "I know about the extra dangers targeting you. It is dishonorable." Maya felt a moment of hope. Maybe not all the competitors saw this as a simple matter of kill or be killed. "Want to work together until we deal with the bigger threats?" Maya suggested. Swift Wind considered this for a moment, then nodded. "Temporary alliance. We face the arena's dangers together, but when only we remain, we fight with honor." Over the next 2 days, Maya and Swift Wind became an effective team. Swift Wind's speed and Maya's tactical thinking complemented each other perfectly. They avoided Brutus Kane, who was leaving a trail of destruction as he smashed through every obstacle in his path. They also stayed away from Stonecrusher, who was moving slowly but steadily through the Rocky Mountain region. Venomstrike had apparently decided to wait in the swamp area, letting his toxic environment work for him while the others exhausted themselves. On the 4th day, Maya and Swift Wind faced their biggest challenge yet. A pack of creatures that looked like wolves crossed with metal spiders came hunting them. There were at least 20 of the things, and they moved with perfect coordination. "Pack hunters," Maya observed, watching them surround the rocky outcrop, where she and Swift Wind had taken shelter. "They're smart and patient. Too many to fight directly," Swift Wind agreed. "And they're fast enough to catch me even at full speed." Maya studied the pack's behavior and noticed something important. They have a leader. See the one with the silver markings? The others wait for its signals. So if we eliminate the leader, the pack falls apart, Maya finished. But getting to it means going through all the others. Maya began gathering materials from around their shelter. She used her water purification tablets to create a small explosive device, combining the chemicals with some of the alien plants they had collected for food. "I need you to create a distraction," Maya told Swift Wind. "Get them focused on the north side of our position." Swift Wind nodded and began making noise and movement on the opposite side of their shelter. The pack leader directed half its forces toward the distraction, just as Maya had hoped. Maya used the moment of confusion to circle around behind the pack. She had to crawl through mud and thorny bushes, moving so slowly that it took her an hour to get into position. But patience was something humans excelled at. When she was close enough, Maya threw her improvised explosive at the pack leader. The Device exploded with more force than she had expected, not only killing the leader but scattering the rest of the pack in panic. "Impressive," Swiftwind said as they regrouped. "Your species has a talent for improvisation." That night, as they shared watch duties, Swiftwind asked Maya about Earth and human culture. Maya found herself describing her hometown, her family's auto shop, and the simple pleasures of life in the mountains. "Your world sounds peaceful," Swiftwind observed. "Strange that such a place would produce apex predators." "Maybe that's exactly why we're dangerous," Maya replied. "We know what we're fighting to protect." On the 5th day they encountered Brutus Kane in a clearing filled with the wreckage of arena obstacles he had destroyed. The massive warrior was covered in wounds but still looked ready for battle. "The human and her pet bird," Brutus growled. "I was hoping to face you both." "This doesn't have to be a fight," Maya said, though she was already calculating angles and distances. "The arena is trying to kill all of us. Why make its job easier?" Brutus laughed, a sound like breaking bones. "Because I am Corin. We do not hide from battle. We embrace it." He charged at them with surprising speed for someone his size. Swiftwind darted to one side while Maya rolled the other way, but Brutus was ready for the tactic. He grabbed a chunk of debris and threw it at Swiftwind with deadly accuracy. The alien huntress cried out as the projectile struck her leg, sending her crashing to the ground. Her leg was clearly broken, making her speed advantage useless. Maya felt rage building inside her as she saw her ally hurt. But she forced the emotion down and focused on the tactical situation. Brutus was stronger and better armored, but he was also tired from days of fighting the arena's challenges. Instead of facing him directly, Maya began using the wreckage around them as cover and weapons. She led him on a chase through the debris field, forcing him to expend energy while she looked for weaknesses. She noticed that one of his wounds was deeper than the others, probably from an encounter with the acid spitters. Every time he moved quickly, the wound reopened and leaked blue blood. Maya began targeting the injury with thrown debris, not trying to cause new damage, but aggravating the existing wound. After 10 minutes of this harassment, Brutus was moving, noticeably slower. "Stand and fight me properly," he roared in frustration. "Why?" Maya called back. "This is working fine." She continued her guerrilla tactics until Brutus finally collapsed from blood loss and exhaustion. Maya approached him carefully, ready to dodge if he had any fight left. "You fight without honor," Brutus said weakly. "I fight to win," Maya replied, "and to protect my friend." She used her medical supplies to stabilize Brutus's wounds. He stared at her in confusion as she worked to save his life. "Why do you help your defeated enemy?" "Because the fight is over," Maya said simply. "You're not my enemy anymore. You're just someone who needs help." Dr. Elena watched the scene from her monitoring station and felt tears in her eyes. Maya's actions were being broadcast across the galaxy, and she could see the effect it was having on viewers. The audience was used to gladiatorial contests ending in death, but Maya was showing them something different. Meanwhile, High Chancellor Stone was furious in her private viewing box. Maya's display of mercy was exactly the kind of behavior that made humans dangerous to the established order. Mercy implied that there were alternatives to the Empire's system of rule through fear. Stone activated her private communication system and sent new orders to the arena's control center. If the existing dangers weren't enough to eliminate Maya, she would have to arrange for more direct intervention. As the 6th day began, Maya helped Swiftwind to a safe hiding place where she could recover from her injury. The alien huntress would not be able to continue in the competition, but Maya made sure she had supplies and protection. "You could have left me for the predators," Swiftwind said gratefully. "That's not who I am," Maya replied, "and it's not who humans are, despite what some people want the galaxy to believe." With only Maya, Stonecrusher, and Venom Strike remaining, the arena began its final phase. The environment itself became more hostile, with violent storms and seismic events designed to force the competitors into confrontation. Maya realized that the game was ending, and she would have to face the final challenges alone. But she also understood that she was no longer just fighting for her own survival. She was fighting to show the galaxy what humanity could become. On the seventh and final day of the hunt, Maya found herself standing in the center of the arena as the artificial environments collapsed around her. The forest, desert, and swamp biomes were folding away like closing books, revealing the true arena floor beneath. Stone Crusher emerged from the mountain region, his rock-like skin scarred but unbroken. Venom Strike rose from a pool of toxic waste, his environmental suit gleaming with deadly chemicals. Maya stood between them, looking small and fragile compared to these titans. 3 remain. Admiral Kaney's voice echoed through the arena. But only one can claim victory. The final trial is single combat. Fight until only one stands. The crowd of alien spectators roared their approval. After 7 days of strategy and survival, they were ready for pure violence. But Maya had other plans. "Wait," she called out, her voice carrying clearly across the arena floor. "I invoke the right of challenge." A stunned silence fell over the entire stadium. Even Stone Crusher and Venom Strike paused in confusion. Admiral Kaney's voice returned, uncertain for the first time. "The right of challenge has not been invoked in the Apex games for over 3 centuries. Are you certain you wish to use this ancient law?" "I am," Maya replied firmly. "I challenge not just these competitors but the entire system that created this tournament." High Chancellor Rebecca Stone appeared suddenly on the arena floor, transported down from her private viewing box. She looked exactly like what Maya had expected. A middle-aged human woman whose eyes held the cold calculation of someone who had spent decades playing galactic politics. "You foolish child," Stone said, her voice carrying the authority of her high office. "You have no idea what you're doing." "I know exactly what I'm doing," Maya replied. "I'm exposing the lie you've built your power on." Stone circled Maya like a predator sizing up prey. She was older and more experienced, but Maya could see the fear hidden behind her confident mask. "For 25 years, I have been the Empire's example of human capability," Stone explained to the watching crowd. "I have served faithfully, proving that humans can be useful servants when properly managed." "Servants," Maya repeated, letting the word hang in the air. "Is that what you think we are?" "It's what we have to be to survive in this galaxy," Stone snapped. "The Empire controls thousands of worlds and trillions of beings. Humans are one small species on one insignificant planet. Our only hope is to prove our usefulness and earn our place through service." Maya shook her head. "You're wrong, and I'm going to prove it." Stone activated a personal force field and drew an energy weapon from her official robes. "Then you'll die for your naive idealism." The weapon discharged with a sound like tearing silk, sending a beam of deadly energy toward Maya. But Maya had been watching Stone's body language and was already moving before the trigger was pulled. The beam scorched the arena floor where Maya had been standing. She rolled behind a piece of debris and began analyzing the tactical situation. Stone had superior weapons and technology, but she had also spent decades as a politician rather than a warrior. Maya had spent the last week fighting for her life, against creatures designed to kill apex predators. "You see," Stone called out to the crowd while firing at Maya's position, "this is exactly why humans need to be controlled. Give them too much freedom, and they become dangerous to the established order." Maya used the arena's sound system to respond, her voice carrying to every corner of the stadium. "The only thing I'm dangerous to is your lie that humans have to be servants instead of partners." She began moving through the arena's debris field, using her smaller size and agility to stay ahead of Stone's energy weapon. Each time Stone fired, Maya was somewhere else, forcing the Chancellor to waste ammunition. "The Empire has brought peace and order to the galaxy." Stone continued her propaganda speech while hunting Maya. "Individual ambition and human unpredictability threaten that stability." "Stability built on fear and oppression," Maya replied, her voice echoing from multiple locations as she stayed mobile. "That's not peace. That's just delayed war." Maya had been studying the arena's layout during the hunt, and she remembered a damaged section of floor plating near the center. If she could lure Stone to that position, the Chancellor's weight and force field might cause the weakened structure to collapse. She began a careful approach, using debris as cover while staying just visible enough to keep Stone's attention. The older woman followed, confident in her superior firepower. "You have no idea what you're risking," Stone said as she pursued Maya. "If the Empire decides humans are too dangerous, they could sterilize Earth with a single ship. Every human who ever lived or will live depends on maintaining good relations." Maya reached the weak section of flooring and stopped, turning to face Stone directly for the first time. "Maybe you're right about the Empire's power, but you're wrong about what humans are capable of." Stone raised her weapon for a killing shot, but Maya had timed her move perfectly. As Stone's force field interacted with the damaged arena systems, feedback overloaded the local power grid. The floor beneath Stone's feet collapsed, sending her tumbling into the maintenance tunnels below the arena. Her weapon and force field generator were destroyed in the fall, though she survived the impact. Maya climbed down to help Stone out of the wreckage, extending her hand to the woman who had tried to kill her. "Why?" Stone asked, staring at the offered assistance in confusion. "Because that's who humans are when we're at our best," Maya replied. "We help people, even when they don't deserve it." As Maya pulled Stone from the debris, a new voice echoed through the arena. Emperor Thane Morrison himself materialized on the arena floor, his ancient form surrounded by the shimmering energy of advanced technology. Morrison looked like he was 1,000 years old, which he probably was. His skin was pale white, almost translucent, and his eyes held depths that spoke of centuries of experience and accumulated wisdom. "Remarkable," the Emperor said, his voice carrying easily despite his frail appearance. "Absolutely remarkable." He approached Maya, ignoring Stone. "Completely. I have been watching your performance throughout these games, young human. You have exceeded every expectation and confounded every prediction." "Your Majesty," Stone began, struggling to her feet. "I can explain." "You can be silent," Morrison commanded without even looking at her. "Your usefulness to the Empire ended the moment you tried to sabotage these games." The Emperor continued studying Maya with eyes that seemed to look through her to something deeper. "Do you know what the true purpose of the Apex games has always been?" Maya shook her head, though she suspected it wasn't what everyone had been told. "We have been searching for a species capable of leading the Empire into its next phase of evolution," Morrison explained. "For 3,000 years, we Talaxians have guided galactic civilization, but our time is ending. We need successors." Stone. Crusher and Venom Strike had remained frozen during the conversation, apparently as surprised as everyone else by this revelation. "The games were never about entertainment or even about testing combat ability," Morrison continued. "They were about finding a species that combined physical capability with moral character. We need leaders who can inspire rather than simply dominate." Maya felt the weight of understanding settling on her shoulders. "You've been looking for someone to replace you." "Not replace," Morrison corrected. "Transform. The Empire as it exists now is stagnant. We rule through fear and superior technology, but that model is failing. We need leaders who can unite species through cooperation rather than conquest." He gestured to the crowd of alien spectators, many of whom were leaning forward to hear every word. "Your actions during these games have been broadcast to every world in the Empire. Billions of beings have watched you show mercy to defeated enemies, form alliances with competitors, and risk your own life to help others." Maya looked up at the alien faces surrounding the arena. She could see something in their expressions that hadn't been there before. Hope, maybe, or possibility. "You have demonstrated that strength without cruelty is possible," Morrison said. "That leadership can come from service rather than domination. These are the qualities we need for the Empire's future." "But I'm just one person," Maya protested, "and humans are just one species among thousands." Morrison smiled, the first genuine expression she had seen from him. "One person can change everything, if they have the courage to try. And based on what we've learned about your species, I believe humans have exactly the qualities the galaxy needs." He turned to address the crowd directly, his voice carrying to every corner of the vast stadium and beyond, to the billions watching on screens across the Empire. Citizens of the Empire, I present to you Maya Rodriguez of Earth. She has won the Apex Games not through superior strength or advanced technology, but through the rarest qualities in the galaxy: wisdom, courage, and compassion. The crowd erupted in a sound unlike anything Maya had ever heard. It wasn't the bloodthirsty roar she had expected, but something that sounded almost like celebration. Morrison turned back to Maya. I offer you citizenship in the Empire and a seat on the ruling council, as promised to the winner of the games. Maya looked at Stonecrusher and Venomstrike, who had both shown honor during the competition despite their fearsome reputations. She thought about Swift Wind recovering from her injuries but watching from the medical center. She thought about Dr. Elena and Marcus, who had risked everything to help her succeed. I accept, Maya said, but I have conditions. Morrison raised an eyebrow. You would negotiate with an emperor? I would negotiate with anyone if it means doing the right thing, Maya replied. That's what humans do. The emperor's smile widened. Yes, I believe it is. Maya stood in the center of the arena, facing an emperor who controlled thousands of worlds and trillions of lives. The weight of the moment pressed down on her, but she had come too far to back down now. My conditions are simple, Maya said, her voice carrying clearly through the arena's sound system. First, all humans currently held by the Empire must be freed immediately. Second, Earth must be recognized as a sovereign world with the right to govern itself. Third, the Apex Games must be reformed to become a true competition rather than a death sentence. Emperor Morrison considered her words while the crowd waited in absolute silence. Even the alien spectators seemed to understand that they were witnessing something unprecedented. Those are significant demands, Morrison said finally. What makes you think you have the authority to make such requests? I won your competition, Maya replied. By your own laws, that gives me the right to claim the promised reward. But I'm asking for something bigger than personal citizenship. Morrison nodded slowly. And if I refuse your conditions? Maya took a deep breath. She was about to make the biggest gamble of her life. Then I invoke the oldest law in the Imperial Code, trial by combat for the right to rule. The entire stadium erupted, in shocked voices. Even Morrison looked genuinely surprised by her boldness. High Chancellor Stone, still picking debris from her clothes, laughed bitterly. You cannot be serious. You're a child from a backward planet. He is the emperor of the galaxy's greatest civilization. She can make the challenge, Morrison said quietly, silencing Stone with a gesture. The law is clear, even if it hasn't been used in over a millennium. Maya felt her heart racing, but she kept her voice steady. I challenge you not because I think I can defeat you in combat, but because someone needs to prove that leadership should be earned rather than inherited. Morrison walked closer to Maya, studying her face with those ancient eyes. You realize that if you lose this challenge, not only will you die, but your entire species could be marked for elimination. The Empire does not tolerate rebellion lightly. I understand the risks, Maya replied. But some things are worth fighting for, even if the odds are impossible. The Emperor was quiet for a long moment, then began to chuckle. The sound grew into genuine laughter that echoed through the arena. Remarkable, he said, wiping tears from his eyes. Absolutely remarkable. You would risk everything on principle alone. Morrison turned to address the crowd again. Citizens of the Empire, you have witnessed something extraordinary today. This young human has shown us what true leadership looks like. She asks for nothing for herself, only justice for others. Maya felt confused. Morrison's reaction wasn't what she had expected at all. The truth is, Morrison continued, I am 3,000 years old. I have ruled this empire for longer than most civilizations have existed. I am tired, and I have been looking for someone worthy to carry on our work. He gestured to the vast stadium around them. The Apex Games were my final test. Not to find the strongest warrior, but to find someone with the moral courage to challenge an unjust system, even at personal cost. Maya stared at him in shock. You wanted me to challenge you? I hoped someone would, Morrison admitted. The Empire needs change, but change cannot come from within a system that has become rigid and corrupt. It must come from outside, from someone who sees possibilities rather than limitations. Morrison began removing symbols of his authority. A crown that seemed to be made of crystallized light, robes that shifted color like living things, and jewelry that pulsed with contained energy. "I accept your challenge," he said formally, "but I propose different terms. Instead of combat, we compete in wisdom. Present your vision for the Empire's future. If your ideas are superior to mine, you win by default." Maya looked around the arena at all the faces watching her. Humans and aliens, warriors and scholars, rulers and servants, all waiting to see what she would say. "The Empire as it exists now rules through fear," Maya began, her voice growing stronger with each word. "Species obey because they're afraid of what happens if they don't. That's not leadership, that's just organized bullying." She began walking as she spoke, addressing not just Morrison but the entire audience. Real leadership means inspiring people to be better than they thought they could be. It means creating systems where everyone benefits from working together instead of competing against each other. Maya stopped in front of Stonecrusher, who had remained silent throughout the revelations. This being spent 7 days trying to kill me in the arena, but he did it with honor, following rules that he believed were fair. That's someone I can work with.